up the map and take a look. I'm not waiting. I haven't even looked at it much. Oh, there you go. Oh, what's going on here?
Hold on.
Oh, that's you. Okay, okay.
Keith, we can't hear you.
He's definitely in here though, right?
Yeah, he's admitted. Hold on.
Just give him a second to like make his boyfriend feel bad for not letting him be in here.
He just left.
Bastard. He says he can't hear.
Can you hear us now?
There he is. There he is. Yo. Mr. Red Hat. You're on you muted yourself, that's why. You're on mute. Stitches. There's a little red thing that says no.
It's like talking to a 75-year-old man. You're on mute, sir.
There he is. He's unmuted now.
He's still showing mute to me.
I like the I guess the fucking Christmas lights going on and off behind him.
We can't hear you, dumbass. There you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
It's on a different screen. Like on my computer, there's a pop-up.
Yeah.
It asks me each time if I want to engage my camera but this has a sliding thing, and yeah, there's different options on different pages.
You're using your phone, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, guys.
All right, ready. Hold on. All right. Welcome to another After Dark special of the Diplomats. You can see what the three of us look like, and it's not very happy. We're not pleasing types. We can't even see Superstition's face. That's a positive. We got the fake fire and wine by hand. Me with the cigar and crappy video. But the Diplomats are here to talk about Fall 1904 of the season Nexus final. Officially, this game is 40% done. We are brought to you by diplomacybriefing.com. I've had a few scotches, so maybe a Vicodin. I had a foot injury. So I may not be in the best of spots. So I'm in my audacious hand move. But, you know, I think people could have been a lot more daring here. I'm not totally happy with what's happened, but I'll let you guys talk and I'll comment. Who wants to start on the Fall 1904 and what they think?
Well, what are you unhappy about? Would you say?
Where's Italy's move against Austria? That tells me that there was no move, that Romania to Budapest was likely arranged. I can understand that maybe Italy wants to work with Russia to get and Austria to get Turkey down to 2. But man, I thought they missed a big opportunity here in this case. I would have loved Italy to convoy to Albania. I would have loved, the extra build. Austria's units are not contiguously attached, but it is what it is. Austria gets no builds. Russia gets a build. My eyes are brought to the east. The west, I was kind of happy for England. Finally got something out of this alliance. Got 2. and you predicted North Coast, but the East is what's sort of disappointing. Maybe they're biding their time, and I'm more impatient wanting something to happen.
I don't know. I think the important thing is that Austria didn't get a build, and that was the whole point. I thought Italy and Turkey should work together, but by Russia taking that build, even if it was just given to them, it helps Italy get in position. So Russia and Italy can do some damage to Austria right here that Austria can't even stop.
I mean, if you recall, I said during our last podcast that if Russia did not move and take something
It will
this
never take
year,
something.
he would never get anything. And it seems like I really do believe the village idiot that it pains him to betray his long-term alliance for one dot. But again, he's an excellent player, and I think he perceived the same thing, that his back is against the wall. And that's why it kind of surprised me. I mean, if you recall in the move I predicted, I mean, it was kind of a long shot, but I thought Austria was so cunning that he would actually offer to support Russia into Bulgaria, which is kind of almost a mid-game version of the move you were talking about, Ed, at the beginning, where you try to get Russia a bit out of position. And if that had happened, I mean, and Italy hadn't cut a G, and it would have worked out just as I thought. I almost wonder if Russia expected that, or he was kind of thinking, if he doesn't offer me a going to take at this point. I don't really agree that it's prearranged. I don't, unless it's a truly deep fake kind of way of throwing the rest of the board off, which I don't think it is. I think this is authentically Russia making a play.
But even still, Russia can frame it by just saying, hey, I'm going to take Budapest, and there's nothing you can do about it to balance everything out. I mean, he has the upper hand. Austria's at war with every other power, or I guess they're good with Italy now. Who knows? But you can frame it however you want. It's
the argument that it's not arranged. At least the argument I think that it's not arranged between Russia and Austria is we were laughing about the standing orders. Conk didn't go to the black.
Right.
I think
now if he had done that, he would have lost Constantinople. So maybe that's what, and Smyrna. So maybe that was the thinking. But Sevastopol had to be free.
Well, Constantinople wasn't under any.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'm not. I was. Yeah. You're right. He wouldn't have taken Constantinople.
Mm-hmm.
So it tells me that there was some communication between Russia and Turkey that was not conveyed to Austria.
Maybe, but you would think that if they wanted to work together, they would have put them into Bulgaria. Either one of them.
You think, but the thing is, I know Conk wants Bulgaria. Maybe that's what they said, but it's much better for Conk, I think, to be at 2. But not going to the black. I mean, Russia needs a build. Russia got a build, but he had no place to build other than Sevastopol.
Right.
And so Sevastopol had to be free. Had to be.
Right.
I think that there was maybe partial communication there, but to me, I think Russia has just been, for all his kind of somewhat uninspiring, or maybe that's even too harsh, kind of passive tactical play, he really has played a masterful diplomatic game. The fact that England is unwilling to take St. Petersburg to this time, I think, and I disagree. If he had supported Turkey into Bulgaria, then Austria can retreat to Serbia, and Russia might again not end up with a build. Again, I think he perceived that at this juncture he had to get a build. That this is the last opportunity he would have to get that crucial build that will allow him to put some pressure on the board. I think that what he's doing here, I think he's almost used his passivity to to infiltrate the different flows of information, and this is him just kind of surfing the flow of information, putting it all together, putting all his connects, his studies of the other players together in one kind of subtle move that more or less rescues his game. I would say that he's the player of this turn.
I think without a doubt. I recorded a separate podcast, which you guys can listen to your favorite player, Umble. And Umble's point was Austria got in big trouble by moving towards Germany and out of, moving the army away and being in Tyrolean Bohemia and moving down from Serbia to Greece. And that was the opening that Russia needed. He thinks that was the diplomatic victory by Russia somehow for Austria, getting them into Greece and away from Vienna and Trieste.
Yeah, it's possible. I would still frame it as I'm still going to take it, whether you like it or not. But right now, Russia's in a great position. He can work with what's left of Turkey. Italy's in Venice, or if he still needs Austria, Austria's still on the German border. But I think he can lie enough for another season or so and use them all to the best of his ability.
So this has gone through before. We're recording this before the winter of 2004, so we don't know what Russia's going to build. But what would you build?
Army.
An army makes the most sense unless it's kind of a longer game against Turkey and he's going to force himself into the Black Sea. But
more than likely, Turkey will fall. There's one Austrian fleet. If you're gonna have to fight Austria. So
yeah, it has to be an army. I will say also there's another perspective on this, which is that this is also something of a victory for Germany, who was actually beginning to come under some pressure from Austria and Russia, and all it was going to take was one more person to flip, and he was about to be in a vulnerable position. He did wedge them apart. There was that kind of miscommunication or whatever it was between the two when Russia tried to support Austria into Munich and didn't. And now, Austria is holding on his border, which seems to be, again, he's in his typical fashion. He's trying to keep leverage, but he's not actually attacking Germany. It seems like Germany worked something out with both Russia and Austria. And on top of that, now Russia and Austria are actively attacking each other. And Germany will probably have his pick of allies here. So
well, I like the German play. It remains to be seen what's going to happen with Germany, but he got England +1 here, which is fantastic for England, taking Brest and, as you predicted, and North Coast, but losing Liverpool. So
he needed that North Coast.
So he's still ahead of England, but he made friends. But you can tell England was a little suspicious by moving Picardy back to Belgium, right? That's not that, in my mind, that has to be defensive.
Yeah, the German moves away from Russia are kind of weird too. So makes me think that they're posturing. Like I said, the great thing about agreeing to put England in the North Coast is it helps get rid of the rest of France. And you can dislodge them next turn. Italy can easily take Spain from them.
That's true, yeah. And actually, Italy is in a good position in the West. And again, I said this last turn, but if I was Germany, I would be, maybe seeing England in the afternoon still, but at night I'd be in bed with Italy.
Yeah, it's all about Italy right now because as soon as England's done with France, he has enough fleet power to just lock up the entire north.
I mean, not just that, but England's just been dragging his feet the entire game. I would be very frustrated with things if I was Germany. And the fact that he is kind of moving towards a offensive position against Germany is pretty obvious at this point. Not just refusing to attack Russia, but
refusing to leave north.
Yeah. So I mean, for instance, Germany is going to have to move aggressively if he thinks that England's going to go for Holland. And so I think that there's definitely I think there's lines of communication between England and Russia, and there has been for a while, strong ones. I think that Germany is talking to both Russia and Austria. I'd almost try to work something out with Austria just because of the clear Russian-English connection at this point. I would probably try to reach strong power alliance, I think.
I think that has to happen. I think Germany and Austria have to work it out right now.
Yep, it's very important. Because, I think England's going to get taken down soon. If not, England's going to be in too good a position to be taken down.
So, go ahead.
And I guess that kind of brings us down to Italy and your own frustration. I share your frustrations. Italy is, Tom he is sensible. Sometimes he can keep his cool, or the people around him don't. So perhaps he sees this need for a Central Powers Alliance, but I'm not sure really what he gains from breaking Turkey's support. I suppose I see what you guys are saying. I mean, if I was me, I would have tried to negotiate for Spain, though France would have broken that support in any case. But I wouldn't want to be helping England, especially I want Iberia as my corner as fast as possible.
No, I agree. I just think that he's going to build an army to probably dislodge Liverpool.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and there's no fleet to support Spain, so it's going to push it back to the Mid-Atlantic. So the faster you can bottleneck the Mid-Atlantic, I mean, that's a good position.
That's
I don't really see helping Austria as something I would do, but it might be what he needs to make peace so he can focus on Iberia completely. I don't know.
Again, there's sort of two questions. Let me ask the first one. I agree. We're all agreeing. Like the Ionian thing for Turkey just makes no sense to me. Moving to the Aegean, it would have been better to move to the Adriatic in my mind. Maybe he didn't do the convoy because then he'd have to build an army in Venice, and he wants fleets to move to Iberia. Maybe he doesn't want to show his hand to Austria right now. I'm just surprised that this wasn't coordinated between Italy and Russia a bit more.
Well, on the other hand, if he knows that Russia and perhaps Turkey are going to move against Austria, he might want Austria weakened, but as his meat shield against that late forming kind of jug. Very often you can arrange a quick dismemberment of Austria, but as Austria falling quickly is often not the most beneficial. He could still, if Austria struggles, he can still kind of move in as a peacekeeping force or take something later.
I guess my point is different. I don't think we're seeing a juggernaut or a Russian-Turkey thing. I think they might be selling that to Conk, but I thought a wintergreen, an Italian-Russian alliance would have been, this would have been the time for Italy to make his move with a crippled Turkey.
Well, Italy moved to Venice, which puts it in position. So he's making a defensive move that can also be an offensive move later. I don't think Tom really wants to stick his neck out for him, maybe, until he sees commitment from Russia. So I think Russia committed. Italy's in a good position to take advantage of it next year if he so desires. If not, he can still keep Austria on its feet while he does other things. So I think he can play both sides and take his time.
I mean, I
Do you
think Italy's.
do you think Budapest supports Venice to Trieste?
That would be my guess, that the wintergreen's in full force.
I see. I disagree with you too. For me, I think Italy, and as he should, is completely focused on grabbing that southwestern corner and perhaps even being ready to push into the Atlantic. And that's really, as I've said before, in the East the East is chaos. I think that Russia and Austria will keep each other busy for just a little while. Those those centers will still be there to pick off, or perhaps he'll even be able to negotiate the Turk centers from Austria in order for him to remain at peace with them. But once you get Iberia, you can't really be dislodged, especially if England can be neutralized to some extent. I think that he needs to continue to join his fortunes with Germany, and that should be his focus. The East stasis and just kind of fruitless war in the East is what he wants right now, from my perspective.
I can see that, but I can also see him pretty much demanding Trieste for peace, because that was kind of forcefully taken from him. And I know it's not his home center, but it gives him security, and he can still prop up Austria from there if it's coordinated.
Yeah, the problem is Austria can't afford too many disbands right now.
I want that
see
fleet
maybe
going.
even Greece concession, but yeah. I think Austria is too useful as a kind of foil to the other Eastern powers right now, and really, as long as they stay in conflict, and especially, I mean, with Turkey neutralized, there really isn't anyone who can build enough fleets to threaten Italy if he does block up the kind of mountain passes in the north. So he just needs to act really decisively, in my mind, against Iberia. He needs not to indulge England at all. He needs to be really pushing Germany to see England for what he is, and again, crawling into bed with him.
Let me ask you this on the West. France has a disband, and I've been thinking about this quite a bit. What does he disband? He's got a fleet in MAO, a fleet in Liverpool, an army in Portugal.
The fleet in Liverpool. I mean, it's so wonderful that Doc has the Mid-Atlantic. He just continues just to be a kind of annoying fly buzzing around his aggressors, heads, and biting them and harassing them. But the problem with the fleet in Liverpool is that it's 2 moves away from being relevant.
Right.
Well, it's 1 move away. If you think about it, I think, it can, depending on England's build, but I'm kind of thinking he might keep both fleets. Portugal, you called it fool's gold. He can use those fleets to help Italy, to help Germany.
Yeah, and you can't hold Spain
He could
against.
be a useful janissary with those 2 fleets and offer value.
It is true that because of England's lurking in Norway, England is still 3 moves away from taking Liverpool. He couldn't even take it next turn if he tried. So that does free up that fleet to get somewhere useful. It just might be hard to hold Portugal and still do something useful with the fleet. Yeah, I mean, he would. It's a tough one. I mean, he'd be trying to work something out with Italy. telling Italy, Iberia is yours. You know, you can even have Marseille. Just I want my land tiles back, or just I hate England. Just let's kill him.
Yep. He might just push him into the mid-Atlantic. Just be like, I'll just keep supporting and convoying you around.
I mean, sometimes when you go down on centers and you want people to find you attractive as a pawn, like what I look for in a pawn is someone driven by revenge against a certain person, and because you just know they're going to just drive against that power. But then you can also use the fact that people are looking for that vengeful pawn to survive just a little bit longer, because they don't realize you have other intentions. So maybe he can sell Italy on something like that.
I think it's fascinating, and I think just a personal thought here. It tells me, no offense to England, it shows me his inexperience. There's nothing worse in diplomacy than having a rogue unit behind you. Everyone's gone through this. It really cripples England's, choices here. He can press on against Germany and have the fleet do damage if he wants to betray Germany, or he can commit his units back to try to get that one fleet, maybe two fleets if Doc does not disband either, and opens himself up for the German attack. England's in a really tough spot here.
Yeah, I mean, he just couldn't bear to leave Norway unsupported for years. Really, that's really been an eyesore for me. Every time I see that move, it just bothers me. What do you guys make of his? What's that?
He'd have to leave north then, but.
Well, I mean, I would have moved out of Norway years ago.
Well, there's still an army in SDP.
I mean, I don't know. It seems like he has a good relationship with Russia, and I don't really see if he's not going to. He's already told Germany, I don't want St. Petersburg. Yeah, it's just bizarre. He could have left north too, but there's also nothing threatening north. I mean, north is a important tile, but I feel like sometimes.
No, I would have left it a long time ago.
Yeah, exactly. I think sometimes people are so traumatized by what happened when they left north sometimes past that they don't even think rationally about the fact that there's nothing threatening north. You can still bluff them, right? If you wanted to play the slow game, you could move to the Norwegian Sea and then support one more time just to keep them guessing, and then
well, Germany's 2 seasons away, so if he moves a season in, you can always drop channel back.
Yeah, exactly. It's really I think I agree that was a big mistake. What do you guys make of his what do you guys think of his purely symbolic support of Turkey into the Black Sea? If that is indeed, I don't actually have the text of the moves in front of me. I'm assuming.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I think it's, well, either that or it's just support Ankara. I find it odd because it's a hint to me that there might be the RT that you're talking about.
It is into the Black Sea.
Right? Like, I view it as a mildly pro RT or antagonistic towards Russia idea. I just don't know what he gains out of it.
Yeah, it's somewhat bizarre. Maybe he was so sure that Turkey would do it that he wanted the style points. But if he really was aggressive towards Russia, he would have attacked Russia a long time ago. I can only imagine that Turkey has been furious with England for a long time as well for his refusal to do anything against Petersburg. So I imagine that there's some kind of spiteful communication between the two. I don't know. What do you make of it, Keith?
I don't know. That doesn't make any sense to me. So could just be he was guessing moves for fun.
Uh,
Yeah.
while we're in
Cover a lot
Scandinavia,
of it now.
the Baltic move, you know, Germany's engaged in good diplomacy with Italy, good diplomacy with England. There's nothing France can do to him, and Austria needs to back away. Uh, Germany has a lot of options of what he can do. He's got the fleet in the Baltic. He can convoy. They can take St. Petersburg if they want to, even though he's shown no willingness to work with Russia. Or he can set up the attack on England.
Yeah,
mean,
I think that move allows him to move his fleets in the better position versus England, more defensive, and the Baltic allows him to advance his armies so his centers aren't being pressed. So you can make an offensive either
I would
way.
be, yeah, I would be cautious. I would definitely protect myself against England this turn. Um,
And the best way to do that is what? Munich to Ruhr, Silesia to Munich, Berlin to Kiel, Baltic to Denmark.
well, you only really need, I mean, if you trust that Russia and Austria are actually fighting, I mean, if this is like the kind of, if this is a little bit of an acid move and it turns out Warsaw breaks support from Silesia and they take Munich, that would be, really a lovely little development. I'm not sure if that's really, I don't think that's what's going on. But I wouldn't necessarily go for a full turtling up of all my centers right now, but uh, I might move I definitely move something into Ruhr where I can access all the coastal centers and at least guess right if I need to. Um, I must say too, I don't, just the aesthetic of supporting into the Baltic unnecessarily bothers me. On the aesthetic level, I would have just held Sweden. I don't know.
I agree. Some people just can't stand a hold.
Uh, but 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 really, I mean, holding. I'm someone who can't stand the hold, and I think it's a good instinct. I mean,
Hmm.
I would have moved. I would have moved it somewhere. Sweden's not the most dynamic place for that fleet right now. There's ways
Well,
I
he
mean,
could have done. He could have moved to Skagerrak with Sweden. I mean, there's lots of things he could have
I would have
done.
moved it to Denmark even, and then Denmark you can kind of protect both Denmark and Sweden by not moving and keeping them guessing and making it a 50-50. Yeah, or
Uh,
Skagerrak.
but I'm
Denmark
going to
you could also
disagree that he
excuse
should
it
have
as
done
I got.
that.
What's that?
I'm going to disagree a little bit. I think that the support move is definitely unnecessary. So I agree with you on that. But Germany, I think, has exhibited really good patience, and I think the alliance has worked out in his favor. Yeah, England could get a little stabby here, but I think there's a lot. Germany just has so many options, even if England decided to stab. England really can't take Denmark credibly. He can't get more than Holland. Uh, Whereas you might, and if he does that, Doc is just going to come around and take another home center off of him.
Well,
Uh,
he's got a build. He can keep Liverpool under pressure.
Look, Doc can support Gascony to Brest if he doesn't disband that fleet.
Uh, it's possible. I mean, I I do think I think that the risk. I mean, I think that there is quite a risk of a English stab soon, and I think it's because, I mean, if you just look at English play, how they've been too timid to open up more than one front. Um, their war in the West is over, so now they're ready for their next front, right? I mean, it's a very kind of one front at a time, kind of serial monogamy of war kind of strategy. In gut tells me he's talking to Russia, and that of course now Russia seems to be fighting Austria. He's also probably talking to Austria too. That's a very natural alliance. Maybe not next turn. If I was Germany, I wouldn't overextend myself here. I've got both Russia and Austria probably courting me. I would be trying to form a very strong axis with Italy. And with Italy, I would be using this chaos in the East as a kind of a distraction while I just kind of finish off the West. You know, I mean, look at it. You know, what Italy and Germany, there's nothing they want more than to grab a corner. And if they work together, they could have a northwest corner and a southwest corner, and then they can sweep east. If they play their cards right, it could go very well for them.
You agree that the German-Italian alliance served Germany better than continuing on with the EG?
For sure.
Yes.
Okay. Agreed. Why then, other than the move to Baltic, does Germany doesn't move an army to Kiel? He doesn't do anything, to support. I mean, he could credibly move to Kiel, saying, "I know you're moving to Belgium to cover it. That's fine." I mean, it seems nonsensical to me. I just didn't think
he had to protect.
Pardon?
He had to protect his home centers because he might have an inkling of it, but he didn't. It looked like Prussia would try to break Berlin or Silesia, and they would go for Munich. So that wasn't a feasible option. He could have moved Burgundy, but I think actually getting Italy that build was crucial, especially if he's going to build this relationship. Again, I think he did really well. The only thing I would have done differently is I would have done something similar to what you said and used it as kind of I really would have been tempted to move Sweden to Denmark because then it can affect the North Sea. Skagerrak would be a great move too, but it's a little too transparent insofar as if you move to Denmark, you can say, "Oh, I got paranoid, man. I thought you were going to take it. So-and-so told me X." So you can credibly move to Denmark. And then you can do that 50-50 defense of Sweden and Denmark while continuing to do something else with Baltic. So yeah.
Okay.
But I don't think he would. He's not going to leave the Russian-Austrian line until he sees that stab. That might be the proof he needs to demilitarize that. Plus, with a French raider in the back and not knowing how all the supports are going to play out in the Iberian, it's too much for England to stab right now. So I think he knew he had a little while.
But England's been transparently kind of lurking, keeping his units around.
Yep. Even move back to Belgium.
Yeah, and moving back to Belgium, it's one of those things where these kind of things have happened often enough that there's a point at which someone's paranoia becomes an excuse to move against you.
Yeah, I would have traded Paris for Belgium or something.
Yeah.
If you want it to be smooth and not stabby, but
exactly, yeah.
All right, fellas. I'm pretty sure I know the answer to this question, but you don't know my second question. The first question is this: who had the best 1904?
The best? Well, it's not. I would say Russia had the most compelling, but probably I would say Germany. Because Germany, in a way, we kind of, Russia's the bigger name, so we want to give him the credit for what happened. But, in a vacuum, what I see is that Germany wedged the Austrian-Russian alliance apart, or at least contained it so that Russia had to move against Austria, since Austria apparently couldn't bring himself to offer Russia anything. You know, Germany's in Gascony now, in Silesia. Germany has, you know, both Italy and England as kind of like fighting for his affections. You know, both Russia and Austria probably are asking for his help or for him to relent. So I think Germany is the best position.
For me,
that wasn't quite my
that was
question.
the
My
question.
question was who had the best year.
Oh, the best year, yeah. I would still go with the same. I mean, he didn't get a center, but Germany wedged apart the primary alliance against him, and he has a budding relationship with a power that geopolitically, because Italy cannot threaten him in any way and can only benefit him, is the best possible alliance on the board. Yeah, I would have to say Russia had the best year. I mean, sorry, Germany had the best year. Slip of the tongue.
I got you. Stitches.
I think Italy. I mean, he came back from the dead, convoyed one away, made some gains in the south of France. Really, with Austria being attacked and Turkey being down to 2, he pretty much controls the Mediterranean even without the units. England has a raider, so it gives him more time to tie up loose ends. I think Italy had the best year. I still think Germany's still playing the best game because he has the most options on the table right now.
Yeah, it does look really good for Italy's hegemony over the Mediterranean. It's true, because with Austria not getting that build, there's no threat fleet. It doesn't look like Austria will be able to build a fleet anytime soon. Turkey, yeah, there's really no, if he can continue to expand and build a few more fleets, that it's really his for the taking.
Okay. Well, I thought it was obvious, and to me, it was Russia. And I'll give the Russian case here, and it's not because it's a big name or village idiot. Anyone who's read my biblical tome on season 2 knows we've had our ups and downs. Okay, I'm emotionally scarred from dealing with the guy, but his patient game, I think, has proven to have been masterful. Here's why. One, it's 1904. He's not even threatened in the north. That's a huge victory for Russia. Yeah, I mean, sometimes Russia builds fleets north and can be dominant, but priority 1 is being safe up there, keeping St. Petersburg. Done. Number 2, no enemy in Germany anymore. No, and he has no enemy in England, no enemy in Turkey, no enemy in Italy.
That might not be true.
Yeah.
Because just because Germany pulled back doesn't mean he can't advance his armies with the Baltic.
Well, yeah, he can convoy, but it seems to me that it's in Germany's interest to take Austria down just a little bit more.
True, but obviously they're not working together with England to take over St. Petersburg. There's some point of contention that STP is off the table. So if he wants to take any Russian gains, he's got to do it himself. So he has to back up.
I think that he has his option. I mean, I think that if I was him, I would immediately flip over to Austria's side again. Like I said, I think a strong Central Powers alliance would be great for him. And Austria didn't, like I mentioned, Austria didn't attack him this turn, and there's a kind of each game has its own language. There's this kind of odd thing that's going on in this game where a lot of peace treaties seem to involve, taking it just to the brink, going right to the border, and then unnecessarily kind of just holding there and supporting yourself and then moving back away. So I know Austria here, he doesn't attack Germany. He's almost signaling, I don't really trust you enough to take this leverage away, but I also am not coordinating with Russia. And this is the second move in a row that he doesn't coordinate with Russia there.
I don't know. I'm counting 6 dots for Russia. And
No, they're doing well for sure. I just don't think it's. I think Germany could be either way.
when
Just
I'm
depends
saying
on.
he had the best 1904, that is not saying I think he's had the best game.
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying we went through 6 seasons of ridiculing, as you would say, Audacious Hand, the good dog.
Mm-hmm.
And the man is in position in '04, uh, and has a, he's got options too. He'll be in good defensive strength. He's going to be a tough nut to crack. I
Mm-hmm.
I just think that his patient game, while boring, uninspiring, and at some level depressing, is showing that it can be effective in a 10-year game.
I agree to some extent. I just think that, like I said last turn, I think that he made the best with what he had, but he almost had no choice here. Like, this was the juncture where he had to make some move, or the move would never be there for him. So this is definitely an inflection point. Like, things are looking bright and there's potential for him. I just think that he would have wanted that inflection point to be a little more dramatic, to be a more, to take maybe 2 centers, maybe 3, to really, I think he would have liked the fruits of his patience to be more than this, which doesn't take away from the fact that his game has worked well. But yeah, I think that he had to put his cards down on the table here, due to stance. I think he would have liked a little more from it.
All right. Next question. What does Turkey disband?
Let me look at this map.
Because I'll say, I'm convinced he's going to disband Ankara.
That's what I would do.
I
And
think
that's
that's
Russia a lot
probably
of options. If need be, he can help Turkey get back into Bulgaria with the Romanian fleet. Just uh, there's just a lot he can do.
I think it depends. If he can convince Russia to let him into the Black Sea, that could be good for him. I mean, really, this is one of those moments where he needs one last great push in diplomacy. What he disbands, that's his last bargaining chip he has. He needs Italy and Russia to help him. He needs at least 2 powers to help him. Again, like, he could go for the same strategies I did earlier, and I think this actually be kind of more convincing as Conk is sell himself as the vengeful pawn. Austria has wronged me, use me. All I want to do is to, plunge my dagger into him and die happy.
Would we find it somewhat hilarious if he disbanded Constantinople?
For the second time. I mean, I could see it. Like,
This tells Austria, leave the way
I
you
can see
came
that
in.
and go back with Austria.
move back through Constantinople. I would think that he would try to get him to go through Armenia if he wanted to make a deal with Austria.
it's hard to see him working it out with Austria, but yeah, it's difficult.
He's going to try. He'll try anything he can.
It is true, though, that the army moving through Armenia, from Austria's perspective, if they could take the Black Sea in Armenia, that would be really good from Austria's perspective. But we'll see. I mean, this is, again, this is I think that it's his last bargaining chip, but it's an important one.
That'd be crazy to see a reverse pass through where an Austrian army just goes right through Turkish.
Yeah.
Never.
I mean, it would be crazy, right? Aegean,
Yeah,
Smyrna,
this game has been
Anxiport,
crazy.
East to Khan. They trade, get Austria into the black. I mean, that could happen. I don't know if it will. I don't know. We don't know what's going on. We can assume he's really frustrated with Russia and Austria.
But it would work unless Russia built a fleet in Sevastopol. It would totally work.
So Italy's building a fleet. So I didn't need to ask you that. That appears obvious. But Hand, I take from your comments that fleet's going to move west. I'm not sure about that.
I think it needs to go west. I don't know. I don't think there's much need for it in the east. If it sits in west, it can still have leverage both ways. It's not that hard of a
If
pivot.
there's a wintergreen, I could see Italy being patient and letting EG maybe fight and using the fleet to fight Austria and or Turkey and helping Russia.
I disagree. I'd be trying to load up the Western Mediterranean and cracking into the Mid Atlantic.
Well, I like that because I mean it's a stalemate line. I get it, but I'm
Oh,
not.
not just that, but you can start. There's a lot of centers to pick off there, and again, if you can just get those three Iberian centers, you have a fortress that can't be broken, and you really only need the army and the fleet to defend your eastern flank right now.
Yep.
Right, but I think you're the one, Hand, who said in the last podcast that Italy is best when he's east and west and spread out. And yeah, he can be a player in the west, but he's not a big player in the east.
Yep. He's got one army, but it depends on what he can leverage with Russia. If he's got a deal, he only needs that one army, and he can take his fleet to the west. I don't know. Two fleets in the west seems safer to me. Try to cinch it up before England gets on its feet.
I agree. And also, and that can very quick, and because in the East, there's no potential for anyone building fleets. And in fact, a
Yeah.
disband or two might be even coming. I mean, it's just a reservoir of centers. You have a whole coastline just waiting for you when it's time to turn back.
And outside Trieste, you really don't want Austria to fall too fast. So I can see Trieste being taken, but if I was Italy, I probably wouldn't help anyone with Austria after that.
Okay. This is a little tradition we do at the end of each year, which is to assign a grade to each power. We'll start with France. I give France an A.
France is an A. Diplomacy might not be there, but tactics are still there.
I don't know.
England. You disagree, Hand?
I mean, it's kind of like giving an A to a student whose
For
grades,
effort.
whose grades are so bad that they're going to fail the class anyway, but they got an A on the last test, but they still get like a 49%. So
I'll more liken it to this. When you rate movies, okay, you don't rate art movies the same as you would rate, laugh out loud, slapstick comedies. And, you have to look at what what the position is or what the movie is intended to be. And the
Well,
man still has two. He still has two at the end of 04 with this now three-way attack on him. I find it impressive.
well, it's an impressive defense, and if you're looking at technique and defense and strategy, I mean, he's done an impeccable job, but it's diplomacy, and he's failed to make any allies, anyone, not even Italy, and it's a big failure on the entire game.
Okay,
You do have those games where you can't get an ally, but I don't know what that is.
revise your grade then, bitches. If it's not an A, what is it?
See, that's tough. Because you gotta find a friend immediately. And I don't know. I guess I'm not a pro at finding one in the finals either. So
No
um,
grade, or you want to do incomplete?
I still like giving him an A just because I respect how well that he's played under fire. I don't think he could have done any better. I probably would have done worse. So
I don't know. I'll just pass on grading him.
Okay. You got to pass on a pass fail.
tough. It's tough.
It's almost too like the A to F system is a little bit narrow for me to kind of like encompass like the aesthetic qualities of people's moves.
All right, but yet,
I mean,
it's like democracy is the worst form of government except for all the others. There has to be some way of ranking. All right, we'll move on because I don't want it to drag. England.
Yeah.
Grades.
I'd probably give it a D.
D. Agreed.
D.
Germany.
It's functional but sloppy, and it was just paranoid and
and just the
always a season behind.
Yeah, exactly. I'd give it a D.
Germany.
Germany gets like I'd say like a B plus or an A minus. I mean, I'd say
B.
I'm gonna give it a B plus. I just think he could have done something a little more dynamic with Sweden.
Don't forget about Holland.
Holland?
Are we talking about the whole game or just this move?
This year.
Yeah. Are we talking about the whole game or just this move?
No, this year.
Oh,
okay. Yeah. Then. Left his options open with Austria and Russia. Helping Italy was really the right thing to do. Moving to Gascony was good. I mean, yeah, maybe an A minus. Just the supported move to Baltic is just a bit of a blemish. I'll give him an A minus.
I'll say B.
I'm a B plus. B plus it is. We averaged it out.
Okay, there we go.
Italy.
Oh, I love Italy's moves. I don't really understand breaking the Ionian, but for the most part, it's pretty good. I'd say probably a good B.
I mean, I suppose if he hadn't broken the Ionian, then Turkey would have taken Bulgaria, and then Austria would have had a disband, which might have caused Austria to collapse too quickly. It's defensible. I wouldn't have done it. I would have done something that benefited me a little more, perhaps. But I'll give him an A minus as well. I also frankly wouldn't have helped England into Spain. I'll give him a B plus. I would have tried really hard to have that. I would have had.
See, I would have, but that was just my idea because England's way easier to break out of Spain than France was with 2 units.
That's a good point. And also he got him into the North Coast, which is a very useless place to be. So
right. And it can't hurt you at all. So just
okay.
And
you guys are killing me.
Let's do A minus.
No, to me it's an obvious A plus. Here's why. It's for the year. Remember where the man started at the end of spring 1903 with an
F?
in Naples.
So we're doing most improved?
or spring 1904 or whatever it is. I mean,
so much.
He got the army out. He got the boot. He's in a great spot. I would have liked to see a better fall 1904. I think Albania, but I can understand why he didn't do it. I'm not going to fault him. He's in the game with the diplomacy. The year of 1904 is an A plus for Italy.
Listen, Ed, I know you guys love grade inflation in Texas because everything needs to be big.
Well, we wouldn't get into school otherwise.
But yeah, an A minus is a good grade coming from me, okay? And it's an A minus, and that's an excellent grade.
Okay. Superstition, did I change your mind at all?
Nope. Nope.
Wow. Poser Tom,
Most
A
improved
plus.
does not mean best moves.
I think he had the best year.
He
I
had
mean-
the best year. I agree.
Okay, that's an A plus.
Okay.
You agree? All right.
Ed grades on a curve. I want to take classes with him.
Yeah, grades on a curve. Someone's got to be the highest, so he's
Yeah.
the A.
Austria.
I've hated all of Austria's moves, but I'm just a different kind of player. It impresses me how he's maintained everything so well until this point. So for the year, didn't do so well. He got some Italian support. He got a Turkish center, some useless units on the German border, and a Russian invasion. So I'd probably say a C. It's not impossible to come back from.
I give him a C as well. There's some mistakes. I mean, I don't understand just holding Bohemia. You either go for it or bring it back and defend.
Or bring it back. You don't sit in dead land.
I mean, if you recall, I actually predicted his move to Tyrolia, which didn't seem obvious at the time, but I didn't have him holding Bohemia and Tyrolia. I wanted him to, again, Vienna is very much like the defensive point for Austria. Kind of want to keep an army kind of lurking around Vienna unless you're going to be in Galicia or something. Yeah, I think just holding in Bohemia, commit one way or the other, protect yourself or go for it. Everything else, I also think that I really, I drew this. I think he should have really, maybe he did, but I think he should have really tried to convince Russia to take support into Bulgaria. That's what I would have been doing, everything to do that.
Move that army away.
Yeah, move it away. Russia's kind of out of position. Now he's at your mercy. Now Romania's even more at your mercy. Don't get greedy. You don't need another builder. I wouldn't be surprised. He could. I think he might have been able to appease Russia if he had offered that support. So I'm not going to completely trash his game because the way he got here was impressive, and he still controls a lot of key territories and could still get Germany back on side, etc. So yeah, I would give him a C. I'm going to give him a C as well.
I'm undecided. It's either an F or incomplete. If the move was arranged with Russia, then I think that Hand's argument that Austria is really, sleeping genius can come true, but I don't think it's arranged. I gave up all his position to Italy. The units are stranded. 3 areas of the map not contiguous at all. And, when Hand earlier in the week wanted to do a profound reevaluation of Austria's play, I will do an obvious evaluation of Austria's play. Right now, it's awful.
Well, when I did the evaluation, he hadn't moved. The move, moving into Bohemia and then holding was the mistake. Up until that point, I mean, let's not forget, you convoyed from Bulgaria to Puglia to Syria. It was all coming together in spectacular fashion. It's just, you got to keep that defensive army in Vienna.
1904 has proven, and I like Ewok, or I'm sorry, that Ewok is, but I like the player. I've played with him on speedboat games before, but I think he's made tragic errors in this year of 1904.
Yeah.
When we're all talking about Austria being so great, if he had followed your moves, Hand, if he had moved Bohemia to Tyrolia, If he had, if he had done the things that you had suggested, kept Italy from growing, being in control of the dogs,
Mm-hmm.
then I could see it.
Yeah,
I don't see it now.
If only he had moved Bohemia back, because he wanted just to slow Germany's roll, and he had already achieved that. Like, Germany was forced to hold Munich. He really could have pulled that back. Yeah, maybe
Turkey.
Maybe a C. I would say a C minus, perhaps. Yeah, it might be a C minus this turn.
Did I change your mind, Superstition?
Yeah, maybe a little bit, but I still don't like giving up much below a C because he did achieve a lot of things, just not with Russia.
Yeah. Okay, so we're agreed it's an F. Turkey, it could be an incomplete. Don't give up Austria.
Well, C minus by Texan grading standards is definitely an F. So.
Yeah. So what's an actual F in Texas? It didn't show up for class.
Yeah.
Turkey.
I mean, it's the same thing as France, where you can't really even grade it. It's just it's like, it's the will, it's the last gasps of a dying animal. It's not really much to see.
I don't know. He didn't even really play defensively though. We went all in, and he couldn't even buy an ally. I don't like it at all. I don't know. He didn't have much to work with, but as much as Conk likes to talk, you'd think he would be able to spin something.
Oh,
but
I give him a C. He's found a friend now in Russia.
If he had found a friend, Russia would have helped him.
He could have taken the black.
Could have, but
he could have. But I think
it
was a wise choice to let Austria and Russia fight. And I think he's still in this game.
You're still a big cheerleader.
I love Conk.
Yeah,
I love him.
Too.
He's a flawed man.
Unconditionally.
He's a flawed man. I love him unconditionally.
Yeah.
But
you get an A, right?
No, I give him a C. He lost a home center. Okay, that's not good under any circumstances. I don't know how he could have avoided it, but
he couldn't.
Right. But I think he's got potential for 05, or he'll be out in 06.
He should have taken the Black Sea, though. He really should have. That'd be so much of a better position. Even if he is.
No, you know why he doesn't take the Black Sea? Because if he takes the Black Sea, Russia tells him what he's going to do, and Russia, which is all Conk wants to hear, that there's going to be war now between Russia and Austria. And he tells Conk, if you take the Black Sea, I'm building a fleet in Sevastopol.
I know, or let Russia take the Black. I mean, just if you're going to work together, one of you should have the Black Sea. It's,
Yeah, I don't think the deal's there.
Yeah, I don't think that they've agreed neither to move to the Black Sea. I think they're just not really working together particularly well. I
don't think Kong saw it beneficial to move there at the time, and
so I don't really give. I'm not. I think that both Turkey and France have both failed out, and they're still taking the test. And I'm just kind of looking sadly at them, being like, even if you get 100%, you still can't pass. I'm sorry.
That sounds like my actual experience in German in college. A side story here: I had a 37 average in German 4.
Well done.
And I saw the professor at a bar, and I bought him a beer and said, "This is the last German class I'll ever take. If I fail this class, I'll just keep failing it. Is there any way we can get my 37 to a 60? Give me the lowest grade so I can be done with this stupid language requirement." And he goes, I guarantee you a 60. That's what I got.
That's
So
Texas.
that's conk.
Yeah,
Okay.
you go around buying beers for people.
All right.
All right, I gotta change my grade for France to F, just because if I'm being that hard on Turkey, then I gotta give them both an F. You can't get a friend, you're not playing the game. I mean, the moves are good, the moves are valiant, but you're losing.
Wow.
Who do you guys,
So
who
it
do you
should
guys
be a
think dies
C under
first?
that system. If it's an A for tactics and an F for diplomacy, that's a C. All right, look, I don't know if literally
It's not a
anyone
gunboat.
other my mother's passed away, but other than that, I don't know if anyone other than your mothers are listening at this point, given how long we've gone. But I have saved Russia's 1904 grade for last because there's only
Hey,
one hand.
uh,
just
uh,
this year.
I would give him a B plus. An A or an A. It's really close. It's really big, close between A minus and B plus. Um, I feel like the circumstances of the game kind of force themselves on it. The only thing I don't like, and I know that this is part. Oh my God, he finally moved to Budapest. It's all was part of his amazing plan, but I I don't know.
It's so
I
boring.
I just can't believe there's never been an army in Finland this entire game. It's still just a blank spot. That's the ultimate Scandinavian guerrilla warfare tile. I mean,
Okay, superstition.
yeah.
B plus for hand.
What's that?
B plus for hand.
Yeah, it's an A. It's for sure an A. He didn't have a whole lot of moves to do, but he made all the right moves and exactly where he needed to, and he did as much growth as he needed to without drawing too much attention. Austria's overextended. Turkey's crippled. He doesn't have any fight on the north for some reason, so I think he did a great job.
I don't know what's higher than an A plus. Okay, he
Oh my
gets
God.
100. There's
Yeah, it's
no
perfection.
question.
Yeah,
I
this year
mean,
is perfection.
where's the English threat? Oh, it's not there. Yeah, there's a convoy issue potentially with Germany. St. Petersburg's free. Konk's not an enemy. He takes Austria. It's perfect. I'm not saying it's
Perfect.
going to be perfect at the end. I'm not saying he's going to win. I'm just like, okay, it's not. He doesn't have a lot of style, but style points don't count.
Yes, they do.
They do for you,
It's sort of
but
like, think about if you're grading a paper, okay? Like, what takes it to true A territory is something beyond it being grammatically correct and factually correct. There has to be a certain style to it.
Oh, I
no.
studied mathematics. We don't care about that. It's just
Oh,
results.
Okay,
right?
did he fill out the answers correctly? And the answer is yes, he filled out all the answers correctly. What he didn't do was what you would want to do, which is to write a little side note to the teacher about why the questions themselves were stupid. But he did answer all the questions on the test correctly.
Yep. Diplomatically and
Yep,
strategically, he did fine. It may not be
fine.
pretty or fun to watch, but it was a perfect season for him.
Okay.
I'll give him an A minus two then.
All
You
right.
guys are like the parents. You're like the parents of students, like just pushing for like that one. Oh, can't we just get them one grade point more? They're never going to get into Harvard with a B plus.
Well, look, I gave Austria an F probably and England a D for letting the rogue fleet go back, and I think it's a problem. All right, look, no one's listening at this point, not even Village Idiot, who heard his grade and my effusive praise of his play this year. Thanks to diplomacybriefing.com. Thanks to you guys for this After Dark session. This will be up after spring 1905, and I think it will take me about 4 hours to encode to upload this, but hopefully it gets up there shortly after the moves process. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, brothers. I thought that was pretty funny at the end.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's good.
Did that really go on super long? I didn't feel like it. That's funny.
1
Yeah,
hour,
man.
23 minutes.
Jesus Christ. We could just fucking. We need to shut up. We need to learn to shut up.
I may do a part 1, part 2.